Welcome to Section 1, Project Management Foundations. This section covers the core concepts and vocabulary that underpin everything else in the course. Before you can understand processes, agile frameworks, or business environment topics, you need a solid grasp of what a project is, how organizations are structured, what the PMO does, and what the PM role actually entails. Many of these concepts will feel familiar if you have been working in project management, but the exam tests them precisely, so even if you know them intuitively, make sure you know the specific PMI definitions and how they are applied in exam scenarios. PMI defines a project as a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Three words are critical here. Temporary means the project has a definite beginning and end, but it does not mean the project is short. A 5-year infrastructure project is still temporary because it has a defined end. Unique means every project creates something that has never existed in exactly the same form, even if the organization has built similar things before. The context, team, constraints, and environment make it unique. And progressive elaboration means that project details are developed incrementally as more information becomes available. You do not have to know everything at the start. The plan evolves as you learn more. On the exam, when you see phrases like temporary, unique, and progressively elaborated, you are looking at a project. The distinction between projects and operations is one of the most frequently tested foundational concepts. Projects are temporary, they have a defined start and end date. Operations are ongoing, they sustain the business with no planned end. Projects produce unique outputs. Operations perform repetitive, stable work optimized for efficiency. A project might build a new customer service platform. The operation is then running that platform day to day after the project closes. This distinction matters on the exam because it affects who owns the work, how it is managed, and what success looks like. A key exam trap: when a project finishes and the team transitions the output to operations, that handover is part of the project closing process, not the start of a new operation. PMI uses a three-tier hierarchy to organize strategic work. At the top is the portfolio, the collection of programs, projects, and operations that an organization manages together to achieve strategic objectives. Portfolios are aligned to organizational strategy. Below the portfolio are programs, groups of related projects managed in a coordinated way to obtain benefits not achievable from managing them individually. A program might include 5 related projects that together deliver a new product line. Below programs are individual projects. Understanding this hierarchy is important for the exam because it explains why projects exist. They are tactical delivery vehicles for strategic objectives. When an exam question asks about a project that seems misaligned with organizational goals, the answer involves escalating that concern through the portfolio or program governance structure. One of the most important shifts made in the latest edition is measuring project success by value instead of measuring by outputs. Let me walk you through what that means from value delivery system perspective. Every project starts with needs. Something in the organization wants to change, a problem to solve, an opportunity to capture. This is the trigger. Without a real business need, the project has no justification. To deliver that need, project team does the work, which includes planning, executing, managing scope, schedule, cost, and all the other disciplines we cover in this course. The project work produces an output, a software system, a building, a report, a trained workforce. This is what traditional project management measured success. PMBOK 8 pushes further. An output enables an outcome, a change in behavior, capability, or situation. The software system is the output. Employees actually using it to work faster is the outcome. The output is necessary but not sufficient for success, and the outcome must ultimately deliver measurable benefit, value that was worth the investment. This is where PMBOK 8 defines real project success. The entire purpose of the project, the reason the sponsor approved the business case to reach to the desired value, which can be recognized by 3 categories. Starting with economic value, includes revenue, profit, cost savings, market share, ROI, NPV. This is the most familiar category and typically what the business case focuses on. Social value, which may include jobs created, community well-being, improved public services, customer satisfaction. The government and healthcare and non-profit sectors often measure project success primarily here. Finally, environmental value, which include carbon reduction, resource efficiency, sustainable materials, ecosystem protection. With sustainability now a core PMBOK 8 principle, this category is no longer optional for many projects. The exam application is this. When a question asks how to define project success, the answer is never just delivered on time and within budget. Success means the project delivered value that was worth the investment, across whichever of these three dimensions matter to the stakeholders. How to deliver and track the value, PM BOK 8 makes a clear statement here. Projects must be justified before they start, and their value must be tracked after they finish. This is not a formality. It is the whole reason the project exists. Before the project begins, the sponsor asks one question: why should the organization invest in this? The business case is the answer. It contains the financial justification, the strategic fit, and the analysis of alternatives. Notice who owns the business case: the sponsor, not the PM. Once the project is approved, the benefits management plan defines how benefits will be measured, tracked, and reported. Think of it as the rulebook for proving value. Both the sponsor and PM own this together. During execution, the PM tracks early indicators that benefits are on track to be delivered. Are we building the right thing? Are the early metrics moving in the right direction? At project close, the PM formally hands over responsibility for benefits tracking to operations. The deliverable is done, but the value is not yet fully realized. This handover is a formal activity, not an informal conversation, and this is where it ends, or rather, where the real measure of success begins. Did the project actually deliver the value promised in the business case? This is owned by operations, not the PM, as the PM is no longer responsible after handover. The exam tests this in two ways. First, who owns benefits realization after the project closes? Operations and the sponsor, never the PM. Second, if the business case assumptions change significantly during the project, what should the PM do? Reassess the business case and escalate to the sponsor, because continuing a project whose business case is no longer valid is irresponsible governance. This slide covers two concepts that are frequently confused with each other. So let me be precise about what each one means. Every project needs governance, a framework that defines who has authority to make decisions, how changes are approved, and how the project connects to organizational oversight. Project governance is different from day-to-day project management. The PM manages the work. Governance provides the oversight framework. The framework defines the rules, authorities, and controls that surround the project. Think of it as the system that the project operates inside, not the work itself. It includes also phase gates, sometimes called kill points or stage gates, which represent decision checkpoints at the end of each phase where the sponsor or governance body decides whether to continue, modify, or stop the project. It also includes oversight, the authority the sponsor and steering committee hold to ensure the project stays aligned with organizational strategy. Governance includes the change control process for approving or rejecting any change to the project baselines. Every change, regardless of size, goes through this process. And finally, compliance, the regulatory, legal, and organizational requirements the project must meet. These are non-negotiable. On the other side, the project life cycle is the sequence of phases a project goes through from start to finish. There are four generic phases: starting the project, organizing and preparing, executing the work, and finally closing the project. Keep in mind that the actual life cycle is tailored to the project context. A construction project has different phases than a software development project. The key distinction to remember: governance is the framework around the project. The life cycle is the work inside it. Both operate simultaneously. Organizational structure is one of the most heavily tested topics in the foundation section. The structure determines how much authority the project manager has. In a functional organization, the PM has little or no formal authority. The functional managers control resources, and the PM acts more as an expediter or facilitator. While in a projectized organization, the project manager has full authority. The team reports directly to him. On the other side, matrix organizations fall in between. Matrix organization could be weak or strong or balanced matrix. Weak matrix organization gives most power to functional managers, and PM act as coordinator with some power to take decision. In strong matrix organization, most power will be with the project manager, while balanced matrix sits in the middle as functional manager and project manager share the authority. On the exam, when a question describes a project manager who cannot get resources, who keeps being overruled, or whose team members report to someone else, that is a functional or weak matrix environment. The right answer in those scenarios usually involves working through the functional manager, not trying to override them. Every project is influenced by two categories of external factors. Enterprise environmental factors, or EEFs, are conditions outside the team's control that can positively or negatively affect the project. They come from inside the organization, like culture, structure, governance, and resource availability, or from outside, like market conditions, regulations, and industry standards. You must know that EEFs are inputs to most planning processes. Organizational process assets, or OPAs, are the plans, processes, policies, procedures, and knowledge bases that the organization has accumulated. They include templates, historical records, lessons learned, and standard procedures. OPAs are organizational knowledge that the PM can leverage. The key distinction: EEFs are environmental conditions the PM must adapt to. OPAs are organizational assets the PM can use. The PMO, Project Management Office, is an organizational structure that standardizes project-related governance processes and facilitates the sharing of resources, methodologies, tools, and techniques. There are three types of PMO on the exam. The supportive PMO provides templates, training, and best practices, but has low authority over projects. The controlling PMO provides support and requires compliance with frameworks and governance. It has moderate authority. The directive PMO directly manages projects, assigns PMs, and has high authority over project execution. On the exam, when a question asks what type of PMO is appropriate for an organization that wants consistency without removing autonomy from project teams, the answer is controlling. When the organization wants centralized control, it is directive. The exam regularly tests the specific responsibilities of each project role. The project sponsor is the individual who provides financial resources for the project, champions it within the organization, and makes the go or no-go decision at phase gates. The sponsor owns the business case and the project charter. The project manager is responsible for the day-to-day management of the project, planning, executing, monitoring, and closing. The PM does not own the business case, but does need to understand it deeply. The project team members are responsible for executing the work defined in the project plan. They bring the technical expertise. The functional manager is the person who owns and manages organizational resources, people, and assets, ensures their availability to projects, and provides expertise while resolving resource-related conflicts. All these are stakeholders, which could be anyone who may be affected by, or perceive themselves to be affected by the project. The PM must identify all stakeholders early and manage their engagement throughout. PMI updated the talent triangle in 2022 to reflect what modern employers need from project managers. It has three components. Ways of working covers the technical skills, both predictive and agile approaches, tools, and methodologies. This is what most people think of as project management. Power skills, formerly called leadership, covers the interpersonal and behavioral competencies that make PMs effective: communication, motivation, negotiation, conflict resolution, and emotional intelligence. Business acumen, formerly called strategic and business management, covers the organizational and commercial literacy that lets PMs connect their projects to strategic objectives, understand financial analysis, and navigate governance. The 2026 exam places significantly more emphasis on business acumen than previous exams, reflecting the shift towards seeing PMs as strategic partners rather than just process executors. The six constraints are commonly called the project triple constraint, though there are now six, are scope, schedule, cost, quality, resources, and risk. These constraints are interdependent. If you increase scope, you typically need more time, more money, or both. If you compress the schedule, you might need more resources or accept more risk. If you cut cost, you may need to reduce scope or accept lower quality. The PM's job is to balance these constraints in a way that delivers maximum value within the approved boundaries. On the exam, constraint trade-off questions are very common. The key insight is that no single constraint automatically wins. The PM must analyze the impact of any change on all six dimensions and bring significant changes to the change control process. Let us review the key takeaways from section 1. A project is temporary, unique, and progressively elaborated. Projects differ from operations. Operations are ongoing, repetitive work. The portfolio program project hierarchy connects tactical delivery to strategic objectives. PMBOK 8 frames projects as value delivery systems. Success is measured by outcomes, not just outputs. Organizational structure determines PM authority. Functional is lowest, projectized is highest, matrix is in between. EFs are environmental conditions. OPAs are organizational assets. Both are inputs to planning. PMO types, supportive, controlling, or directive, decides project manager authority in the project,